You're listening to the Lowdown Show, The Next. Mamma Mia! Your NXT review and discussion show.
We are NXT!
Right here on the No Holds Barred Network. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lowdown Show, The Next, right here on the No Holds Barred Network, your source for all Raw, SmackDown, and NXT reviews, plus more, right here on the No Holds Barred Network. You can follow us on Twitter at NHB Network. You can also follow the show on Twitter, Lowdown Show NXT. You can also follow myself at Real Kyle Masters, and you can follow my other co-host at Hollywood or Michael Chow TV on Twitter as well. Guys, you can follow the show on Twitter. Lowdown Show NXT is where you will be posting all our updates for the show, and you can join us with our live shows right here on Spreaker, Spreaker.com/NHBWP. It is a free app to download, free to make a profile, allows you to chat with us live on here and tune into our live shows every single Wednesday night at 10 p.m., excluding tonight, which is at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific. I am your host, the self-proclaimed greatest host, as always, Kyle Masters, and I'm always joined by my co-host. He is the host that runs the West Coast, Hollywood, Michael Chow. What's going on, Michael?
Hey guys, how you doing? I just want you to know that I'm doing this podcast from my house, and I'm not going to leave this house until Samoa Joe is on that plane to Australia, and to know everything in my house is safe.
I didn't know he was targeting you, but that's
God, Joe, is that you? Uncle Joe, is that you? Oh my God! Save the kids! Save the kids! Joe, get out of here!
Uncle
Joe, go home! Joe, what are you doing here, man? AJ lives over there. Okay, Joe just left my house.
Oh man,
he lives over there, Joe, down the street.
I hope, Michael, are you okay?
Oh man, that was crazy, man. I thought Paige might have to fire Samoa Joe again for not breaking into AJ's house.
Jeez. No. I'm glad you're okay, man. I'm glad we sent them. You sent them on the right way. No, it's good.
God.
Oh man, like they're doing good stuff over there on the Blue Brand, man. Doing good stuff.
I don't know that thing, AJ and Samoa Joe. That kind of ended pretty bad for me. But what are you gonna do?
How you doing, Michael? How you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been taking a lot of naps to prepare my body for Super Showdown because I had to wake up at 2 a.m. in my time.
That kind of sucks for you. It even sucks for me. Like 5 a.m. is pretty early for me too. I don't feel like really waking up at 5 a.m. Like Saturday too, I got to go in for the corporate job at around 1-ish that day. So I don't know if I even really want to wake up. But I'm at a point now where I really don't care if I miss it. Like, it's like they've over promoted it. There's a match on there that it's cool. It's got the nostalgia behind it, but let's be real here. Was it really needed? No.
You got to tune in. It's the Undertaker versus Triple H for the last time.
No, are we sure that's Shawn Michaels though? Are we sure that's Shawn Michaels and not what's his face from Home Alone? Was the one of the robbers there?
Oh my gosh!
Are we sure it's not him? I always forget his name. God, I'm bad. With names.
The other guy. The other guy's name is Marv.
Marv, yeah.
No,
that's the guy I'm thinking of, right? Isn't he the one with the bald head that in that one scene his hair got burned off?
That's the tall guy. So that guy is Marv, and then the other guy, I forgot what his name is.
I thought he was Marv, and the other guy was like Harry.
Wait. I don't know.
Oh, it's tough. Anyways, he looks like.
I'm sorry.
I seen someone put a side-by-side picture. It was hilarious. It was funny.
I thought because of the headband, I thought it was Bobby Lashley. I'm like, wow, Bobby Lashley, you got really skinny and skin change.
Really quickly here, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Lowdown Show, The Next, cleverly spelled NXT, is where we talk about the A brand in our eyes every single week, right here every Wednesday, and that is NXT. And another decent episode this week. Not the most exciting. I mean, it was really I don't know. Like you said earlier before we get on the air, Mike, it felt like it was like the end of a taping. Nothing really stood out. It did have some good matches and some good production storyline. It was more like almost like a go-home show for what we're getting next week. Next week is a jam-packed episode of NXT. Same with the week after, so we'll see what happens. But other than that, SmackDown, I think, killed it out of all three brands this week. And I understand that you have something to talk about here that's got to do with someone on the blue brand.
Well, to be fair, it's not someone directly on the blue brand per se, but I did talk to you earlier. There is something I wanted to say. And for those of you who are big wrestling fans, a fan of the community, which I think is one of the best communities out there. It's a great community when it's good, but it's a bad community when it's bad. So let me just go ahead and straight up tell you guys what happened. So credit where credit's due. SmackDown has gotten a lot better. And I love the way that SmackDown ended. You know, Becky Lynch, man, oh man, she's doing so great. This feud with Charlotte has been doing great. I did not expect Becky Lynch to adapt to being a heel so fast. The fans love her. She's been doing the heel thing so great. And she put on a great promo. And I'll summarize it real quick because, you know, we're not a main roster show. But she basically says about how she's being underlooked. She's basically saying that she doesn't get the photo shoots, that, you know, she's not on any of the magazines. And she's not even on the poster for Super Showdown. And she's the women's champ. Mm-hmm. So then, of course, Charlotte comes out here, you know, bing, bang, boom. And then, of course, Charlotte puts her down to the hashtag I boo the woo. And, and it ends the show. Now, I really liked her promo, and there was a quote that she said that I really loved, and it pretty much sums up my opinion of Super Showdown. Becky Lynch pretty much said, and I quote, there's not the direct words, but she says pretty much something along the lines of, it shouldn't be about Undertaker versus Triple H for the last time. It should be about Becky Lynch defending her title for the first time. And I thought that quote was so great because I don't even want the Undertaker versus Triple H. It should be about these new wrestlers in this new era getting the matches and whatnot. So I had retweeted the quote that Becky said about how it shouldn't be about the Undertaker and Triple H and blah, blah, blah. And I put that Becky Lynch is probably right now one of the best superstars on the brand. And I got a lot of likes. I got a lot of retweets. But then coming along with that, I got a lot of comments and tweets by these fans out there basically trashing my tweet, going out of their way. I got one guy who basically said the promo sucked, calling her a crybaby. He said I sucked. He called me a
I'm looking at it right now, and there's also random ones. There's this one, we get Destiny Jupert saying, "What's up, WWE?" And the E is capitalized for whatever reason. Sake done live, and I love you so much. What?
Thank you.
What is this? What is this? Sake Down Live. Did they change the name and I'm not aware of it? Is it now called Sake Down Live or Saki Down Live?
To be fair, she does look like a little kid from Camp WWE. Maybe she was probably trying to spell SmackDown Live.
Sorry, I'm bad, but I'm just looking at this. What the hell is going on here?
Wow.
But yeah, you got a lot of flack for this tweet. Whenever I know,
I'm going back and forth with this guy, and this guy basically calling me a cocksucker, basically saying I'm an idiot, basically saying it's morons like me that make the show bad, and then I was like, dude, what is your problem? Now, here's the thing. I respect everyone's opinion online. I really do. And, I do not hate Roman Reigns. I'm not a fan of the way he gets booked. But when I see people out there, and might I say, once again, this is my own opinion. So you guys, if you want to attack me, attack me. The Roman Empire is honestly, in my honest opinion, one of the worst fan bases online because they take the stuff so serious. They really do. But I don't go out there and go out of my way to, when I see a Roman Reigns tweet, to basically say, Roman sucks. You don't know what you're talking about. It's fans like you that make this show suck. I don't do that because I respect everyone's opinion. And it's totally not needed to get this type of negativity in the wrestling fandom community. So it was just kind of very shocking. I wasn't trying to shove Becky Lynch down anyone's throats. And then I get people coming at me saying, no, Becky sucks. You're an idiot. Charlotte's the best. And it's basically people going out of their way to basically put negativity on my tweet and basically saying who you think is a good superstar is wrong, and who I think is a good superstar means more than what you think. And I'm like, Jesus, guys, that type of fandom is not needed, and it's fans like you that make the product bad. So, guys, freaking relax. It's a TV show. All right, in the end, it's a TV show. I love wrestling. Been watching it for over 20 years, and I know saying it's just a TV show is harsh, and people will say I'm not a real fan, quote-unquote real fan. And I know, Kyle, you've heard that before, when people use the term you're not a real fan. But, guys, at the end of the day, it's just a TV show. I may rant about the main roster a lot, but in the end, it's a successful business. They know what they're doing, and it's don't take it too serious. At the end of the day, don't take it too serious, because I don't. So there you go. That's my rant.
You know what's funny, and it's something I could never do? When I see these Twitter profiles of, like, they devote themselves to the wrestler, like they call themselves AJ Styles, or like they're like AJ Styles #1 fan, Superman Punch 57, you know, like all, and like you go to their profile and like their display pictures Roman Reigns, or their cover backgrounds Roman Reigns, and it's just like every tweet is just them kissing their ass. And there's being a fan, then there's like, okay, like, did you really need to make another Twitter account and like go ape shit and go? And these are the people too. These are the people that are jumping down our throats and literally taking everything we say out of context, and you know, part of this, what you just said, the Roman Empire, and just they go nuts on us, and they're the poison in this community and the reason why it's so bad.
I remember there was one time where I actually went to a taping of Monday Night Raw. John Cena had come out, and I started booing him. And there was a row to my right of nothing but little kids. The kids started crying because everyone was booing John Cena. I just happened to be in the row to the left booing John Cena, and the parents turned to me and said, would you stop booing him? My kids are crying. And I'm like, dude, I just spent over $100 on this ticket. If I want to boo John Cena, I'm going to boo him. You need to tell your kids to calm the freak down and grow up. It's a freaking show. If they can't handle people booing John Cena, I don't know what is life. So it's like, whatever. So,
well, anyways, I'm going to hit the bell there, and we're going to end that. We're going to talk about something better, and that is NXT. And yes, there you go, Michael. Once again, the NXT chants are raining down upon us. And we're here to talk about the A brand in our eyes. And again, like I said in the beginning of the show, wasn't the greatest episode of NXT this week. As you can tell in my voice, I'm pretty tired. I did have a long day today, and I was able to catch the entire episode of NXT right before we came on the air. And it didn't wake me up, in a sense, I guess I can put it that way. There was some stuff that I found good. There was some stuff was like, and there was the overall feel of the episode. Just, you know, we can't, when people like criticize us for saying that we just think that NXT is the ultimate show and fuck everything else, and we think that it's perfect. We don't think it's perfect. We know we have never actually once sat here and said this is the perfect show. We may have pumped their tires a lot, which we do because it's a show that we love. Like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we talk good about a show that we love and say that it's awesome? But then we always say, we've said it multiple times in the show, week after week, that there's stuff that they do that we don't like. And this week, they didn't really like to put a lot of effort into it, and we didn't really enjoy. Like, we enjoyed it, we just didn't fully enjoy it. Like, it wasn't exciting. It was, you can tell that there wasn't a lot of, I can't say a lot of effort put into it, but you can tell it was an end of a taping. Let's put it that way.
I can honestly say, credit where credit's due, that I actually liked SmackDown this week more than NXT. So for everyone who thinks we always rant about the main roster, you know, there are times where we actually like the main roster more than NXT. Right. It rarely happens, but when it does, you know, it does happen. So there you go. And as far as this week, it wasn't great, but at no means was it a bad episode. But you can totally tell that this was for the NXT. For the people tuning in who don't know NXT, they do pre-tape their episodes in advance, and you could totally tell where this episode kind of seemed like in the middle of what they were taping. You know what I mean?
I think one thing you can notice is how the crowd reacts to a lot of stuff. And you can tell like the reactions are just, you can tell when they're tired. You can tell when it's not as loud. Like they were loud, but you can tell that, they're not 100% into it. They're tired. At the end of the taping, they're just like, hey, let's just take a day break and then move on to the next taping. So I should, like, what's the break line between these? Like, when do they do that? I want to know when they do the next set of tapings. I got to look into this. Like, when they do a set of tapings for one day, and then when's the next day they start the next set? Do they wait a week, or do they wait 2 weeks? I really want to know. Because it almost seems like every taping there's the exact same people in the exact same seats every goddamn time. So I don't know how that goes down. I probably should, but
I think a taping might be at least 3 hours, and then they just cut that up into like 3 different episodes. Because there are some results where I actually do read what the spoilers is, and a lot of stuff does not end up on what we see on TV, because a lot of the stuff they kind of film, and then they go back to Full Sail and they film the stuff like in the backstage. You know what I mean? They might film some stuff in the backstage, maybe Velveteen Dream getting interviewed. That doesn't make it in the live tapings. But that's kind of why they tape stuff in advance and pre-tape. Right. So they can edit it and add all this other stuff, like those fantastic package vintages we always see and whatnot. So,
right.
So, yeah.
Right. Before we get into the review for the show, just want to show a quick love to the chat, and we got Datila and Tiffany from That Ass Podcast in the chat right now. What's going on, you two? Thank you for joining the chat as always, and to you other listeners out there, if you ever want to join in on the live chat and listen to us live, all you got to do is make a free profile on Spreaker. It is a glorious app. I kid you not. It is a fantastic app. You're going to want to download it. It's available for all Android and Apple devices. Free to make a profile. It lets you chat with us live on the air. You can chat with everyone in the chat. We can read over if we see something we like on the chat, we'll talk about it in the show. So, but thank you to Datila and Tiffany for showing the love once again in the chat for this podcast. So let's jump right into the review, Michael. October 3rd, NXT. We started off interesting. We got Nikki Cross backstage. I couldn't tell you where exactly she was. Somewhere she found backstage in some hole and decided to crawl into it. And they
is it the classic Mankind boiler room?
I couldn't tell you what was going on. There was a smoke. It could have been a boiler room. I can't really make out where exactly she was, but they ended up bringing a camera with them so they can film this promo. Or she brought it with her, whatever. She was going on about being excited about having fun with Bianca Belair again. I guess before we even it was announced that these two were going to have a rematch. We have Nikki talking about it right in the beginning of the show. Then she started like ranting. She does this thing that she's been doing the last couple of weeks. I know, over and over and over again. As the camera cuts away, and everyone wants to know, what does she know? Does she know the attacker of Aleister Black, or does she know something else we don't know?
She claims, because wasn't there I don't know whether it was online or it was from last week, right? There was an interview with Undisputed Era, and she kind of cut through the interview saying that I know who attacked Aleister Black, but and then William Regal said that she was all the way on the roof when it happened, and that she saw something, but she wouldn't give up the name. But it's weird. So Nikki Cross claims that she knows who did it, but then does that kind of like give a clue on who it is? Because it's like, is it someone that Nikki Cross is associated with? You know what I mean? I mean,
maybe they're going to swerve us. Maybe it has nothing to do with the attack. It's something else she knows, like something she knows, a deep dark secret about someone. It just plays into her craziness character well. So I thought it was a pretty good promo. It suited her. Like it's a lot more talking than we're usually used to with her too. So
I would love it. I would love it so much if she reveals something that was like a unanswered question from the history of WWE that just never got answered, and she just comes out here and she goes, "Ooh, I know who the real little Jimmy is," or she comes back out here and she goes, "I know what happened to the SmackDown Top 10." I'm like, there's so many plot holes in the WWE universe. It'd be so great if she just said one of them. But
yeah, crazy. I think Nikki Cross can cut a good promo. From what we saw, I think once she gets going and on the main roster, I think we can expect a lot of stuff around here, but I can't speak for the main roster, so all we can say is here's hoping. We opened up with Candice LeRae against Lacey Evans. We saw what the history with these two have been the last couple of weeks, especially backstage. I think it was last week in the parking lot with Lacey Evans almost basically hitting on Johnny Gargano and calling Candice LeRae a bad wife for not standing up with her husband over the last couple of weeks. So these two had a match together, and this was actually a pretty decent match. Candice LeRae with a new theme song. New theme song alert. Beep, 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 beep. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, no. See, I missed the beginning, so I didn't get to see this, but I loved her old theme music.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh,
it's more. It feels like it's a more serious theme song. Like we should be taking her more seriously. Because you think of that last theme song, though, Michael. When she comes out and it plays, it makes her look too bubbly and. You know what I mean?
But that's kind of what her character is,
that's
right?
That's what I mean. I know. But this week she looked more serious. And she even had a darker lipstick on that kind of made her look pretty edgy.
Oh, man. So. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't do it. It's like a whole Bobby Roode smiling and oh, my God. Drew Gulak changing his great presentation thing that didn't need to be changed.
I honestly think it's just for her to be taken more seriously. I think that's what it was. But anyways, the match is pretty good. A lot of offensive by Candice LeRae and a lot of decent moves by Lacey Evans is continuing to impress me in NXT. The more that she's invested in her character and how she portrays it in the match is good. It's one thing to have a character, but if you can't play it in the match too, then what's the point? You can't you're never going to get anywhere if you can't do both. And Lacey Evans to me has been impressive lately, and I thought she's doing a really good job of displaying her character in the match and putting it to her moveset. I think it's a really good job. Very, very shocking ending to the match. Candice LeRae was there's one point where she's going nuts and just going ham on her in the corner. Twice the referee had to bring her back, almost counting a 5 count to calm down and stop, losing her shit. So the third time she goes back, she gets clocked with a woman's right, and she got clocked. When I say she got clocked, you could hear the sound from the parking lot. She got clocked, and then the women's right wins. Lacey Evans picks up a victory over Candice LeRae, which shocked me because if you guys have been listening to the show the last couple of weeks, I've been hoping that we can see a little momentum swing for Candice LeRae here to swing her into a title contention. But unless this is a way to include Lacey Evans, man, huge upset win and a huge win for Lacey Evans here.
See, they really need to take advantage of this because you and I have talked about this in the past. It's been such a roller coaster for Lacey Evans. She's up, she's down. I mean, this is a woman who has defeated Kairi Sane on NXT, and they really didn't go anywhere with it. So you got to go somewhere with this. Otherwise, Candice LeRae's loss. It was all for nothing. So she's everything that Vince is looking for. She's attractive. She's well built. She's got that Marine background. She plays the character well. She's really good in the ring. She's her along with Bianca Belair have really been impressing me. So, yeah, and a lot of people are moving up to the main roster. So they really need to start pushing these, people who they were not pushing and start pushing them up to the main event status. Yeah. Not the main roster, but up there with the NXT Women's Championship.
And like I said, I love the way she portrays her character in the match. There's the one point in the match where she took out a handkerchief to wipe her sweat off. She's like, oh. And then, it was not Marinello. It was Nigel McGuinness who was like, she doesn't sweat, Michael. She perspires.
Wow.
What the fuck? Oh, God. Or Morrow, not Michael. I said Michael. Morrow.
You're welcome.
We had a backstage segment with Tommaso Ciampa. He was in a crouchy backstage Shield kind of esque space, wherever he likes to hang out. He was reminding the world that he was the pinnacle of he's the pinnacle or was the pinnacle of the wrestling industry, and singled out Velveteen Dream for his recent words. Basically, Velveteen Dream is basically saying, without actually saying it, that Ciampa is the one who attacked Aleister Black. So Ciampa's talking about that, and then Ciampa said that he was the one who exposed Johnny Gargano and took away his mystique, and if Dream isn't careful, he'll turn his dream into a nightmare.
Ooh,
and I love the end of this promo. Really, really cool. We had Tommaso Ciampa look at the belt. He kissed his name on the side plate and then rushed the camera to knock it down. The NXT does these little things that I love, and makes the character better, and it makes the promo better. And something like that at the end of the promo, where Tommaso Ciampa just loses his fucking mind and knocks the camera down, it plays into like, okay, so why is he so pissed off? Why did he have to do that? Maybe he did attack Aleister Black. Maybe he's pissed that Velveteen Dream is figuring it out and basically saying it to the public now and making people see it. So. I love when NXT does these little things, and you got to really look into detail, and I love to nitpick stuff and look into detail. So that's what I think the end of that promo was for. I think I think Velveteen Dream is getting to him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And with this in mind, do you see a face turn for Velveteen Dream? Or is this just a simple 1 week where we get a heel versus heel?
I really can't tell. I mean, he would get the face reaction, the baby face reaction, with the crowd in NXT because they absolutely love the guy. So they could. I mean, they did it with EC3, so I don't know. We'll have to see. Quickly in the chat, we have Brandy Lynn 111 joining the chat. Brandy, what's going on, Brandy? I guess Brandy is going over to visit Tiffany soon in New York, so they're gonna have a lot of fun there. So. All right, another all-women's chat this week on our NXT show. Love it.
Well, we got to build to WWE Evolution. So this is our way of building to WWE Evolution by having an all-women chat room. So.
What did you say? Are you talking about like Evolution on SmackDown 1000?
Absolutely. I thought this is what this whole pay-per-view is about.
Oh,
4 hours of nothing but Batista, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Triple H.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that it was a women's pay-per-view, but I couldn't tell. I haven't seen a lot of promotion for it, so I couldn't tell.
But they just had an all-women's Royal Rumble, an all-women's Elimination Chamber. Let's see here. Money in the Bank. I mean, not to be sexist, but it sounds like they're shoving this whole women's revolution down my throat.
Is an all-women's WrestleMania on the horizon? Maybe that was the rumor of double WrestleManias?
Wow. Yes. That's good.
Anyways, this is one part of the show that kind of like, I was like, it kind of bored me, and it played to the board because I don't know how to feel about them yet. I hope they do a better job of hyping them up. But we had the Forgotten Sons debut in a triple tag team match this week against, I don't know, three guys. I don't remember their names. I don't have the names here in front of me.
Names. The three guys.
The three dead guys, we'll call them that. Because they got buried. They got killed in this match. They really didn't do anything. There was no offense by them. One thing I want to point out, Jackson Riker from the Forgotten Sons, guy's jacked. My God, the guy's a fucking beast. Holy shit. His arms are like boulders. Like if they ever split up in the future, I think that guy's got a future. I think if he has we haven't heard him on the mic yet, but if he's got good mic skills, he might have a future. I think this is like a last sort of shot for Blake and Murphy, and the other guy. Who knows what's going to happen with him? But it really didn't do nothing. I really wasn't paying attention too much to this because, I mean, the Jobbers had an entrance. I was just like, what?
That's right.
They had an entrance. They even had like a Videotron. I'm going, what? It was all their last names, but I'm like, all right. One guy even looked out of place. Like,
it's the next 3 great tag teams in the WWE. Whoever those Jobbers are, they're going to be at War Games, so expect them. Okay. The underdogs going in.
We'll see. I won't continue to that. But they won. Shocker. Moved on, but we had a cool backstage interview with surprising superstar at NXT, 205 Live superstar Tony Nese.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was. He even had a backstage interview here. He said he heard NXT has the best competition in the world, so he's here to show that the world that he had. There's 8 reasons why that's wrong, and he's pointing at his abs. So we had a backstage interview with him. Then this was followed by Bianca Belair having a backstage interview, who demands to be called Mrs. Belair. Says she's not sure to. I wonder if she'd been called Mrs. Ford. Wouldn't that have made sense? Anyways, she says she's not here to play games with Nikki Cross, quote unquote. She reminds everyone that she's still undefeated in NXT, and not only that, she's already been there, done that with Nikki Cross. She acted. What did she do? I'm trying to remember what she said. She had to prove herself. She didn't have to prove herself again, sort of, and claim that she will remain undefeated and go on to win the NXT Women's Championship. So, I think their match, and it was announced later on that they're going to have a match in 2 weeks. It won't be next week; it'll be in 2 weeks. I think that's going to have a title. It's going to have a title implementation. It's not going to be really said, but I think it's going to have something to do with the title. I think after what we had after that, it's going to have something to do with the title. So we'll see what happens.
Either that, or there's got to be some type of stipulation, because if the other match ended in was a count out, right, or a double draw, so why would you have the exact same match again? So I'm hoping that next time in 2 weeks, it's going to be a match that I absolutely loved. It's probably my favorite women's match in NXT of all time. It's a street fight between Nikki Cross and Asuka. So I'm hoping that this time it's going to be Bianca Belair versus Nikki Cross in a street fight. Dude.
Right.
That might be best women's match of the year. So.
Okay, so they had the first women's match at the beginning of the show, and they're talking about this. This is what I mean. This is why I think that this is all getting tied together. Maybe there'll be a winner in 2 weeks, and I'm trying. So many things are running through my head as to what the future of this women's title is, and I love having to think of what, you know what I mean, like what it's going to what is going to happen. And quickly to the chat, Cupid Girl 125 joining the chat. What is going on, Cupid Girl? Yes, your girl Nikki, man. I was very impressed with her promo this week in the beginning of the show. Very, very impressed. Anyways, Tony Nese had a match with Johnny Gargano. Did you catch this match, Michael?
Yeah, I really liked it.
This was actually a really good match. I very much enjoyed this match. It's because, you know what, Tony Nese, I feel, could stay in NXT. I feel like they need a guy like Tony Nese in NXT. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's getting anywhere on 205 Live, and that's not really their fault. It's just poor booking. If 205 Live was at Full Sail, which it should be, I know it's in the right time slot now, but it should be at Full Sail University. I think it would be, with Triple H running it, there'd be more excitement for 205 Live. He's just getting buried because there's no care in 205 Live. I don't know who's booking that show, but there's no care into it. There's no getting invested into it. There's nothing hyping it. So
I don't know what happened to it. When Triple H took it over like last year, it was like doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden it's almost as though they kind of got lazy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they kind of got too used to what the main roster was all about, and they just kind of been. I can honestly say I stopped watching 205 Live because it was just really no reason to watch. You know what I mean? Good wrestling, don't get me wrong, but I would like a story for it to go somewhere, not just random wrestling, random matches, and then there's a title shot the next pay-per-view. They got to go somewhere with this.
Decent match. So we had Tony Nese from 205 Live here. Really, really good match. This was probably. Yeah, it was match of the night, obviously, but this was a really good. It was greater than I thought it was gonna be. Like, I knew it was gonna be a good match going into it, but I think we got more than we were going to originally thought we were going to get. The one thing I want to point out is what the fans were chanting. We had most of the fans during Johnny Wrestling, but you can slowly hear, I'd say, about 20% of the crowd yelling Johnny Failure. So the fans are slowly turning on Mr. Gargano. That's interesting, Michael. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if they're going to play off that, but it looks like this. Some of the people of Full Sail are turning on Mr. Gargano. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what they're gonna play off that, or maybe I don't know if Gargano's ever gonna call out those people out on it. I don't know I don't know what goes on with that.
Maybe it's a tape.
But
maybe
I think
it's a tape that Triple H is playing just to kind of subliminal put it through the fans' minds.
I think Gargano lived up to it and showed those fans tonight with this match. Even Tony Nese, man, he looked very impressed in this match. He even hit a 450 splash at one point, which is really impressive. Even the transition into that 450 splash, all the moves he was doing before that was really good. So this is really good. Eventually, though, it was too much for Tony Nese. Gargano just literally no-sold like 3 moves in a row, and then was able to lock in the Gargano escape, locked it in, and then Nese literally tapped out within 5 seconds. So Gargano won this match. Still got a decent reaction from the crowd. He went into the crowd and grabbed a sign from the kid that said Johnny freaking Wrestling and held it up for the crowd to see and say he's still Johnny freaking Wrestling. So, again, I think this is just Johnny in limbo until Aleister Black comes back, and eventually it goes back to what our predictions were for what the future of the NXT title is going to be. So I think this is just Gargano's going to be doing stuff like this up until then, and
I was
I don't mind that.
I was a little bit confused in a way where I was, because Tony Nese as his opponent, you gotta admit it's kind of random, right? Out of everyone on NXT, you bring in a wrestler from 205 Live to face Johnny, but I kept thinking in my mind that Tommaso Ciampa was gonna come down and do something, because this match, his opponent was out of place. But then nothing really happened, and I was crazy enough to think that Tony Nese was going to win, because I thought they might push this whole Johnny failure gimmick going on here. And I don't know whether they're kind of like, are they pushing the brakes on him and Tommaso Ciampa? Or are we just quietly going to kind of put that in the background? But I guess we're going to have to wait and see what Johnny does next, because I'm a little bit confused on where his direction is going. You brought up a good idea. Yeah.
I think the story is right now with him is he's trying to reprove himself, and it plays into those fans that are booing him and chanting Johnny Failure. He's trying to prove that he is still Johnny freaking Wrestling, and he can still beat the top people. And Tony Nese is the guy who goes around 205 Live claiming he's the premier athlete, he's the best. So, they brought him in to face Johnny Wrestling so Johnny Wrestling can prove to everyone that he can beat the premier athlete. He can beat this guy. I think they need to keep doing stuff like this. They need to bring in some other people. Maybe even start I know they've been doing it at the live events. Maybe start bringing in some main roster talent down to face Johnny Gargano and have these matches. And even bring another 205 Live guy. Bring a guy that's from 205 or from NXT. Bring back Hideo Itami to do something with Gargano. Have a match with Gargano. I think those two can put on a decent show. He goes around yelling, "Respect me!" Do something. I think I like the way they do stuff like this. So we'll see. Maybe
I think a good way to do this that actually makes sense, because if you just have random main roster guys appear on NXT, you get those people kind of like me who nitpick and say, "Why are these guys just randomly on NXT?" So I think a good way to do it that would make sense is that you include NXT in the yearly superstar shakeups, because it's only fair that during the draft, right, and superstar shakeups, NXT superstars get called up to the main roster, but it's never in reverse. You can just next year, if you want ratings, if you want people to tune into the superstar shakeup or the draft, just say next year or this year, all 3 brands are now included. Or you can even throw in 205 Live, too. So you can have people like TJP, Cedric Alexander kind of go up to SmackDown or Raw. So you can say at the next Superstar Shakeup and at the next at the next draft, all 4 brands will now participate. And that's a way for main roster people to go down to NXT. Because you could just say it's part of the Superstar Shakeup, and you could just say, or it's part of the draft. So
okay, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Although I don't think 205 would ever be included. I'd love the idea of NXT finally being included in that, because there's a lot of people that could use a draft to NXT. Yeah, Cuba Girl sitting at 125 in the chat says Tyler Breeze versus Gargano needs to happen. I'd love to see those two go at it. That's a missed NXT opportunity match right there. I'm thinking, though, I'm still thinking about the Gargano thing, Michael, and I'm thinking this is just, again, we're just postponing until Black comes back and they further along the storyline. If they want to do a mini storyline, depending on when Black's officially allowed to come back, in the meantime, I just thought of it now. Have the Forgotten Sons come out and triple team Gargano. And just literally beat the fuck out of him. Have Gargano maybe seek out two other people and, do a mini feud, mini 3-on-3 feud to try to get the Forgotten Sons over.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we literally saw the other week Tommaso Ciampa taking on one half of Heavy Machinery. So why can't we have Johnny Gargano take on one of the members of the Forgotten Sons? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like that idea.
So, anyways, we moved on with the main event. Very interesting main event. This played into the attack of EC3 to face Lars Sullivan in this main event. I love Lars Sullivan's entrance. I've been saying it for weeks now. I love the entrance. The whole figure in the ring when the light's shining on him and you see the silhouette. I love the way they do that. Very, very well produced. Lars Sullivan's a beast. Guy's just a monster. EC3 held his own this match. I love the his entrance, though. Very, very serious entrance, more than we usually get. He starts by pointing at, he points at his three letters on the screen, but as soon as he's done pointing at the E, he just ran to the ring and full-on head charged Lars Sullivan. And holy shit, was this a brutal match. Especially in the beginning. They did this one spot like over and over again. The funniest thing for me, Michael, was that they did the spot the exact same way 3 times. Like, it was a chokehold by Lars Sullivan, reversed by EC3, pushed him into the steps. What does he do next? Same thing, comes back, chokehold, reverses the chokehold, pushes into the steps. And then the third time, chokehold, reverses it, pushes him in the steps, and Lars Sullivan finally falls down. But Lars Sullivan's back after all 3 of those shots to the staircase. Oh my god. It looked like his back went through a meat grinder.
Exactly. And then you look at, not to jump the shark, you look at EC3 at the end of this match. This was was this a first blood match? I was like, oh man. Yikes.
It's intense. This was a decent match. I thought it was alright. I mean, 2 very unorthodox guys. I mean, one maybe not Lars Sullivan, but EC3 is an unorthodox wrestler. He's not the same wrestler we've been getting for years here. He's built really big, but then he also has the moves of sometimes almost has the moves of a person that's smaller than him. So he's an interesting wrestler. Let's just say that. He's got a lot of unique wrestling style and a lot of unorthodox moves, but I think that it makes EC3 what he is.
And EC3, dude, this guy is he's a big guy.
Yeah, against Lars Sullivan, you'd think he'd be a little smaller, but I think he was almost a little taller than him, and he's built pretty big. So,
and I can honestly say Lars Sullivan, he's never been dominated in a match like this before. Because we've always seen kind of like Lars Sullivan take on like smaller guys. Dude, there were times in here like EC3, man, he was clotheslining him over the ropes. He was like freaking like tackling him, and it was like Lars Sullivan has never seen a big threat like EC3 before.
Right. So this was a very, very interesting. I don't know. I'm on the fence about how I feel about the result though, and who got put over in this match. Mm-hmm. I thought for sure we were going to get EC3 picking up the victory here. Wasn't the case. We had Lars Sullivan for some reason. Hit the freak accident on the edge of the apron, and then I'm sorry, I laughed at this. He went up to the top rope and did like a diving headbutt, or like a falling headbutt. I don't know what you call that.
The old Daniel Bryan to Devon Dudley and Chris Benoit. Yes, I said his name. The old flying headbutt. So, yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, and that won the match, and all right. I don't know about the result here. I really feel like maybe EC3 should have been the one to come out in victory here. It's
tough to say because Lars Sullivan, he's he's a big guy who dominates matches, and if he's a guy who loses, what else is he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also didn't want EC3 to lose. This entire time, I was thinking it was going to end either two ways. Number one, Lars Sullivan was going to win by kind of like cheating, whether it's kind of like a poke to the eye or something. Like it wasn't. I was expecting not a clean victory,
right,
or a no contest. Like they're just thrashing each other.
That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for like a double count out, but I don't know.
And I kind of didn't want this feud to end either. So a no contest double count out would have been good. But I can understand that's what Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair did the other week, and maybe they don't want to repeat it. But once again, I'm like you. I don't agree with this ending. And man, the ending of this, the way the show went off the air was just plain weird. Like EC3 was conscious. He looks like he was about to get up, and I was expecting something to happen, but nothing ever happened. So I was like, this was one of the times where kind of the ending of NXT kind of left me not satisfied. But I'm still going to watch, of course. But I was kind of like not really satisfied with the way that NXT ended. So, yeah.
It's very interesting. So that's going to play into our next segment because I really want to know what's going to be next for these guys. So, guys, this time of the show where we get into our Who's Next and What's Next segment. That's right. Welcome to Who's Next, What's Next segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is a part of the show where we talk about what's next for certain feuds and certain storylines, and who's next, what superstar gets our MVP of the week or our jobber of the week in NXT. And Michael, I really want to start with what's next.
Let's do it.
And that is just right from where we just talked about. Lars Sullivan, EC3. What's next for these two? I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like, Cupid Girl put it in the chat. Like, are these guys going to be in limbo now? Like, what's going on with this? To me, right off the bat, if I can think of anything, I don't know, because they don't have a spot in North American Championship. They're not going to have a spot in an NXT title. Those are both going to have their own storyline going forward. I don't think any of them have to do with the Lars Sullivan or with the Aleister Black getting attacked storyline. I don't know. I really don't know what goes on after this. It's either we're going to not see them for a while, or these two are just going to continue feuding until they both are crippled. I don't know. I don't know. So if I had to pick something, I'd say they're probably going to be just in limbo or just find another feud somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So,
EC3, I think, could blend well with who's Cash's on about the face? What's his name that's coming into NXT?
Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle eventually. As for Lars Sullivan, I think that now would be the time for him to get called up. I don't think he's got any other place or anything else to prove in NXT anymore.
Maybe Lars Sullivan versus Johnny Gargano, because it doesn't seem like Johnny Gargano has anything at the moment, and he's really trying to prove that he is Johnny Wrestling. So what better way than to take on one of the biggest superstars in NXT, which is Lars Sullivan. Right. And I can just imagine Lars Sullivan just finding Johnny Gargano in a random hallway and saying, "Hey, you're just like EC3, you don't deserve all this stuff, this," and just basically just start a feud with him. But it's weird. I don't know where these guys can go next.
Right.
There's a lot of unfinished stuff going on in NXT. I don't know whether we caught them on an off week or something, but
yeah.
I hope they have something big planned.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else for what's next. I mean, Johnny Gargano, we kind of sort of briefly touched base with it in the review. I mean, what's next for him? They could go in the route of maybe a Forgotten Sons feud. Like you just said, they can go with the Lars Sullivan feud. I think he might be just an idol as well until keeps calling Lars Sullivan, Aleister Black comes back. But for what's next, God, I think we're gonna be an idol for a bit until we get the Evolution match out of the way for the women, and until Aleister Black comes back. I think we're just gonna be an idol with that. I think that's why they're pumping all these crazy matchups, these championship matches the last couple of weeks, because we're waiting right now. So it's keeping us on our toes. So I like it. So I think maybe what's next for a lot of people right now, and a lot of people in the show tonight, is they're gonna be an idol. We're going to be an idol for a bit, so
we might see some just random matches for a little bit between wrestlers, and they do that sometime on NXT. Just random people face random people. But you had mentioned something about how maybe Johnny Gargano could go up against one of the members of Forgotten Sons, and if you've seen any of the house show results, a couple of months ago, Lacey Evans used to associate herself with the Forgotten Sons because of her Marine background, and of course. One of those guys on there was it Jackson? Was it Jackson Riker who used to be in the army as well? Yeah,
that's what I mean. Look at this. Maybe this is what we're heading to. Maybe it's going to lead into Candice with Johnny, Lacey Evans with the Forgotten Sons. Maybe we add some other people in Johnny's team. I can get behind that if it's something just to do in the meantime and still keep me invested. Is what I mean. If they'll do stuff like this to keep you invested in the people while we wait for other storylines to develop, whether it be because of injury or they really want to do something good. So I really appreciate when NXT does stuff like that, if I can put it that way. Other than that, let's get into who's next. MVP of the week, I'm going to give it to Mr. Johnny Gargano for finally proving to those fans that Johnny Wrestling is back, having a really decent match at NXT. I'll give what's it called? I don't know. I'm thinking of the word here. I'm drawing a blank. A special shout out, I guess, to Tony Nese for coming in and producing a good match as well with Johnny Gargano. So, Johnny Gargano gets my MVP of the week. Who gets your MVP, Cappy?
Should we ask Cappy?
No, I just read that. Here to interrupt the B. Oh, apparently we're the B show. Apparently.
He's in your mind.
In the eyes of the main roster, but their eyes must be blind, so that's okay. They got to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch a pay-per-view anyway. So, anyways, who's your MVP of the week, Michael? Who's next superstar?
Real quick, I actually had one last one for what's next. So
okay.
I noticed how they brought over Tony Nese, and that was just so random. Why, out of everyone on NXT, why did they just grab a random person off of 205 Live? So what I think what's next is, if you notice that they now move 205 Live on Wednesdays, the same day as NXT, and to me, I don't think that's a mistake or a coincidence. I feel like they're gonna start allowing more people from 205 Live to appear on NXT. And I'm cool with it. Way back in the day, they used to have a lot of people from 205 Live in the Cruiserweight division just appear on NXT for no explanation, which was fine. So I'd be totally cool with Cruiserweights coming over to NXT, and every once in a while you can have Cruiserweights from NXT appear on 205 Live, which they did sometimes. Yeah. And yeah, guys, let me know. Wouldn't you guys like to see TJP versus Ricochet? I know I would. Wouldn't you like to see Cedric Alexander versus Pete Dunne? Would you like to see Mustafa Ali versus Johnny Gargano?
We do a lot of these matches, especially with Johnny Gargano in Limbo right now. I mean, with the Tony Nese thing, like I said before, like it's just something to play into the storyline of Johnny Gargano going back to him being Johnny freaking Wrestling and getting back with those fans that are still booing him right now. So I think they're going to play into that. We'll see what happens. But for you, who's next MVP? Who are you giving it to this week? I know I stole Johnny Gargano, but you got anybody else?
Yeah, so my MVP of the week was actually your special shout-out. So I'm giving it to Tony Nese. And I know that's a little bit unfair because he's not technically a member of NXT, but he was really impressive tonight. Tony Nese does not get a lot of time on 205 Live, which is kind of sad that they don't get to showcase how good this guy is. And I don't know whether it's because he's short, but man, this guy's freaking big. He's like a freaking big guy in a small person's body, and he's doing all these flips and whatnot. Very impressed with Tony Nese or Tony Neat. Very good. And
Tony Elise is like those guys over there at the Lowdown show, the regular Lowdown show. You know, they like to gloat and call themselves the A show. We don't have to do that here on the show. Yeah, we don't have to put a label on ourselves. Yeah, we know we're good. I'm just saying. Anyways, who's your where's Tino's?
Hold on here. Cappy says the A show will be live tomorrow night, but it may be a few minutes late as I'll be home late. I don't know, man. You had problems with your podcast before. I don't even know if it might be up in time.
We'll see.
You know, get all the stuff out of the way.
Yeah, the A show with so many problems. I mean, geez, I didn't know an A show had that many problems. Anyways, Kibiro puts her MVP as Nikki because of that promo. Her jobber is the Lost Sons. That went against the Forgotten Sons. She's calling the jobbers the Lost Sons. I just love how they had their own entrance. Like, we don't usually get enhancement talent with entrances, but all three of them had a triple entrance. That's I don't know what to think of that.
and they all look so different. Like 3 guys with different characters. I'm like, what is this? Such a different mix. But yeah. My jobber of the week, and Cuba Girl, if you're in the chats, you're not going to like this, but my jobber of the week actually has to go to EC3. And it's not directly EC3, but the booking of EC3. I'm not liking what they're doing with him. He's been on a losing streak. I just don't think they know what to do with EC3, which is a real shame. He's everything that Vince is looking for. He's a big, sweaty man. You know how Vince loves his big, sweaty men. He's a big guy. He looks the part. He's got the moveset. He's definitely got the mic work. But it just, I don't know. Maybe Triple H has nothing for him, and it's a real shame. So they got other people on the roster. I just don't understand. It just seems like they're having trouble booking these wrestlers. So I don't know. So, yeah. Fortunately, EC3 is my jobber of the week.
I'm gonna be with Cuba Girl. I'm gonna give it to the Lost Sons. Thanks for coming out, I guess. Thanks for coming out to them. They had their own entrance, but I really have no one else that would get a jobber status this week. Maybe to the decision to make Lars Sullivan win. I really feel like EC3 probably should have been the one to come out with that one. So we'll see. Yeah, I can't really think of a clear-cut jobber this week, Michael.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for the Who's Next, What's Next segment. We're not doing Total News this week. This week we have no news to report. I didn't really see any news. And Spotlight this week is going to be moved to next week. We really want to do a good one with Tyler Breeze. So he will be our NXT Spotlight. It will debut it'll make its episode next week. No Spotlight this week. But we have a fan tweet that we want to get into because it is a good tweet. It's an interesting tweet, actually, Michael.
I'm actually finishing my answers as we speak. I think I have one guy left to put on this list, but maybe according to Cappy, maybe I just put Kona Reeves in there. Hold on, where's the finest?
Yep. The finest. Everyone hates the finest. You know, all you haters are the finest. You'll see when he becomes something one day. Y'all see.
Well, wait, we'll see next week, right? Because he's going up against the Keith We'll see if the finest can bask in his glory. So.
Oh God. Anyways, the question comes from actually the host of Lowdown Show UK, where he puts, what would your dream 5-on-5 match be? And I'm going to label this as a Survivor Series since it's around the corner. What would your dream 5-on-5 Survivor Series match be if it was NXT versus WWE and NXT or NXT versus NXT UK and even NXT versus 5 Hall of Fame members in their prime?
Gosh, damn.
So one for both of you to think about. So I'm going to only pick one of those categories. I'm not going to pick a 5-on-5 team for each one or else I'll be here all night. So, Michael, which one do you want to do? Or which one did you do?
I actually did two. I couldn't do the the UK versus NXT because I don't actually watch a lot of the UK indies, so I actually don't know a lot of them. Yeah. So I actually only did the main roster versus NXT and the WWE Hall of Famers versus NXT. So yeah, whichever ones you can think of the most right now, we could start with those.
Tiffany said you said to say. Tiffany, did you put the hashtag Ask the Next like I always put? You probably didn't. But that's okay. I'll forgive you again. But please, guys, if you're going to send in the questions, please put the hashtag Ask the Next, cleverly spelled NXT, so I can find the tweet and it's easier for me to organize. And I have to go looking through because I have honestly like 5 or 6 profiles on my Twitter. So you say yes, but I don't see it. So I think you're lying. I think you're lying, Tiff. Anyways,
is it on there? Let's see. Hold on.
I looked at the hashtag Ask the Next. I do not see. I only see Craig Messie's. But I'm going to pick the NXT versus WWE.
Okay.
So
I mean, by the way, Tiffany, because I want everyone's tweet to go through. If you can, why don't you just copy and paste it right there in the speaker live chat, and we'll do it off that. Because as of right now, I don't think we can find it. So, Tiffany, just copy and paste it in the live chat, and we'll get to your question. So, yeah. Back to you, Kyle.
But yes, I'm going to do NXT versus WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have or which one you want to do.
I could do that one. So I'm done with that one, and then after that one, I could do WWE Hall of Fame versus NXT, and I can go first while you try and think of some people from the Hall of Famers, maybe.
Oh, okay.
You can think of any?
Okay. Off the top of my head, it'd be a while, but I think I could probably figure it out. But I'll let you go first on your first one.
All right. So main roster versus NXT, and man, this was tough. Like if you guys can see my notes, I have several people crossed out and then other people added in because it's 5-on-5. I wish there could be more, and I really wanted it to be like a matchup. Like this person would be matched up good against this person on the other side. So for me, I have from the main roster side, I have AJ Styles. I have the big man, Braun Strowman, because you need a big guy on the team. I have Daniel Bryan, which is probably one of the best technical wrestlers. And you might boo him. In fact, you might boo the next two people. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of his. But if it is 5-on-5, you got to get, of course, who WWE considers the face of the company. I have Roman Reigns, of course. And, of course, you got to have this guy who is part of the big ruthless aggression era. And lastly, on team main roster, I have John Cena. John Cena, recognize. He's coming back. He's like, I'm on team WWE, recognize. So I have these guys taking on. So matched up against AJ Styles on team NXT. I have AJ Styles matched up against Aleister Black on the other side. I have Braun Strowman matched up again against, I don't think this is any big surprise, Lars Sullivan. I have Daniel Bryan, who would be good, best technical wrestler, going up against Johnny Gargano on the other side. I have Roman Reigns matched up against Adam Cole, baby. And, of course, the eccentric, we have John Cena going up against Velveteen Dream. So there you go, guys. That's my whole dream main roster versus NXT. AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, John Cena versus Aleister Black, Lars Sullivan, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, and Velveteen Dream. Who do you guys think would win? This is a tough one.
It kind of blows my eye out of the water because I went kind of generic with mine.
You put Tino Sabatelli on there? Yes.
Yeah, well, hell, duh.
Tino Sabatelli, Kona Reeves, and Cassius Ohno, all of Cappy's favorites going on Team NXT.
Mine, okay, so the three members off the bat for each side, obviously, is going to be the Shield on one side, Undisputed Era on the other side. The next two, if I can think of the top of my head, that would join in would be Daniel Bryan for WWE side. Mm-hmm. Then I would add Johnny Gargano for NXT side. And then I would add Velveteen Dream for NXT side. And then I'm going to go off the board here. I'm going to pick a Dolph Ziggler for the WWE side.
Wow.
Because Dolph Ziggler, I know, doesn't really get enough credit. He guy's an amazing wrestler, and I think put in situations against a good wrestler, he can have a really decent match.
Hey, he's the guy who single-handedly saved the WWE. If you guys remember the whole Authority versus Team John Cena
Yeah.
Like they plugged it as when Sting made his debut with the company and helped Dolph Ziggler beat Team Authority. They all said it like, "Oh, Dolph Ziggler single-handedly, won or dethroned the Authority," and they didn't do anything with it. I thought they were totally gonna give Dolph Ziggler this huge push for saving Team Cena, and nothing ever happened. So this is why Dolph Ziggler wants to leave, guys. And he's trying to leave, but they just pay him too much money. So there you go.
Okay, so excuse me. So that was NXT versus WWE. I guess we can do NXT versus 5 Hall of Fame members in their prime. That's huge, man. In their prime against NXT guys.
Yikes.
Oh God, I can't stack it too much, or else it'd be tough. NXT against people in their prime. NXT would be Johnny Gargano, obviously, Adam Cole, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, and I'm going to go with the Tommaso Ciampa.
Ooh.
Against a Rock, obviously, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. That's 3. Jeez. Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can think of a good one. God. You know what? I'll put a Triple H in there.
All right.
There you go. It's so weird. It's dynamics all over the place, but I'd love to put more guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, but there wasn't a lot of top Hall of Famers back then in the same, like the same style of wrestler that could match up against the current NXT guys that would put in the main one. It's a tough question, very tough question. I don't know who you would put, but
so I try to pick someone. Because I really want to fit everyone on my last list. So the people who I couldn't on that list, I kind of put on this list. So I couldn't name everyone who I wanted to. So actually, I'm having Velveteen Dream pulling double duty since everyone loves Velveteen Dream. I know Cuba Girl does. So on Team NXT, I have Velveteen Dream, Pete Dunne, EC3, Tommaso Ciampa, and Ricochet, because I didn't have Ricochet on my last list. And they're being matched up on the other side. So that's Team NXT taking on the Hall of Famers. Some of these are any of these not Hall of Famers. So all of these are Hall of Famers except for one person. I think you guys give the exception. I have The Rock here. He's not technically in the Hall of Fame yet, but I consider him a Hall of Famer. I have his Eccentrics going up against EC3 in that matchup. I have Hulk Hogan going up against Velveteen Dream since he did wear his tights that one time. I have one of the best technical wrestlers, before, then, forever. Best there was, best there is, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart going up against Pete Dunne. That would be crazy. Stone Cold Steve Austin matched up against Tommaso Ciampa. They both wear the knee brace. They're both bald. They both had the goatee. They both had the mannerisms. And I think this might be the best one out of this list, guys. This would be incredible. Good old, and we definitely miss you, Hall of Famer Eddie Guerrero matched up against Ricochet. This would be the match of forever and ever. So
yeah, maybe we should do some 2K19 simulations when it comes out for this.
I know that would be good. Yeah. We should do
that. Cuba Girl puts Taker, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, and The Rock versus Ciampa, Gargano, EC3, Aleister Black, and Keith Lee.
Yeah, new big guy.
That's an interesting addition there.
You should have Keith Lee up against Mark Henry, but not Mark Henry of the Hall of Pain. It has to be Mark Henry of Sexual Chocolate. Mark Henry.
Sexual Chocolate Mark Henry.
Because they actually kind of look the same. I'm not trying to be like, but Mark Henry back in the day kind of looks like Keith Lee now. So, yeah.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm putting 2 and 2 together now. Anyways, yeah, so very, very interesting question by Craig Messy. Thank you very much. So hope we answered that to the best, to your satisfactory, I guess. But we'll get into Tiffany's tweet. I actually found it here. It was weird how it didn't come up because she did put the hashtag #AskTheNext, but it didn't come up when I hit it. So really? I don't know what the hell was going on with that. Anyways, she says, I was thinking about dream matches, so what would your dream tornado tag match be with the current roster of NXT, and what would your dream Falls Count Anywhere on the current roster of NXT?
Wait, what?
So what would your dream tornado... I'm hoping I'm reading this right. Tiff, I hope you weren't a little intoxicated when you wrote this. What would your dream tornado tag match be with the current roster of NXT? Okay, so they're both with the current roster of NXT talent. So what would your dream tornado tag match be and your dream Falls Count Anywhere match be with the current roster?
Oh, so the only difference is the match, right? Because one is tornado tag and the other one's what, Falls Count?
Yeah, one's Falls Count Anywhere. It's 2 different matches. What would her dream ones with the current roster be? Tornado tag? I'd love for Ciampa and Gargano to come back together for DIY. And I'd love them to go against Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. I think that'd be my tornado dream match for sure.
I'm trying to think of stuff. Can I state the obvious and just say Crime Time versus Street Profits?
That's not current. It's got to be current.
They can come back. They both still look good. Come on.
They're not. If I don't see them on the WWE website, I can't let you answer that.
All right. And it's got to be in NXT, so no one from the main roster.
NXT.
Oh man.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Tough. I know, this is tough.
So while you're thinking, they got Cupid Girl 125 saying the Velveteen Dream and EC3 against Danny and Oni. I forgot about that. They actually had a good promo tonight in NXT, highlighting what they've done so far and how they became a tag team. So I enjoyed that. So I'm loving those two. That's a good dream match. I love to see that. If you can't think of it, you can think of also former. I'll give you the former. We'll include the former NXT talent.
Yeah, I know, because I'm still thinking too. All right, what were some tag teams? You know what? I can't think of any, so I'm just going to straight up say... No, because they tagged for one match.
Yeah.
Like, does it have to be established tag teams, or could it just be people who've tagged in the past?
Good question. I don't know. I didn't ask the question.
Okay, these people have tagged together, so I'm going to say it's fair, okay? So I'm going to go with Mustache Mountain versus Ricochet and Pete Dunne. Because Pete Dunne and Ricochet did tag for that one match. So there you go.
All right, next one is a Falls Count Anywhere match. Well,
oh, my gosh, there's another one.
We already got Gargano and Ciampa, so that's out of the way, so we don't have to think about that. Falls Count Anywhere. I'd love for... I think a decent Falls Count Anywhere match would be... God, I wish he was in NXT. Because I would have said Braun Strowman and Lars Sullivan right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Falls Count Anywhere, jeez, man. God, the current roster, it's tough. That's really tough. How about this? It's way out of left field, but EC3 and Lars Sullivan, give me from what we got this week, I think these guys can put off a pretty decent Falls Count Anywhere match, just from how crazy they got on the outside of the ring this week. So, Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. I'm kind of forgetting about the women.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards EC3 and Lars Sullivan. I think that those guys would have a decent Falls Count Anywhere match, because I really can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
Mm-hmm. So for me, well, since they brought up the women, I'm gonna go with. Can we do former superstars still?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll let you do it. Since
Cool.
it was really hard for me to do current.
So I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch and Charlotte versus Kairi Sane and Asuka. Team Japan. There you go.
Ooh,
That should be a good one.
Team Japan. All right.
Yep.
That's not bad. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay. Very, very interesting tweet. Tiffany got us thinking, got us scratching our noggins there. Nikki Cross versus Asuka, I think would be cool. That's what Cuba Girl 125 says. Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. Yeah, we've seen what they can do. So,
or the four horsewomen versus the four horsewomen of the WWE, because they're all signed now.
Of NXT, I still consider them NXT because that's where they started and that's where they made a name for themselves. So I'd call them the fourth woman of NXT. Just saying. Anyways, yeah. So, thank you for your fan tweets out there, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to tweet us any time of the week. It doesn't have to be on the day of the episode. Just use the hashtag AskTheNext or even tweet at us at LowdownShowNXT on Twitter. Give us a follow on there as well and tweet us your questions and thoughts throughout the week and we'll read them on the show. Like I said before, guys, the NXT Spotlight will be back next week with Tyler Bree's edition of the show. And we're also going to hopefully get some more news out there so I can play that Simon Dane theme song for Michael. That is now the official theme song for Total News NXT. But other than that, Michael, I don't think I got anything else for the show this week.
Did you want to say anything? And I know we don't usually report about the main roster except for when we ran, but did you have anything to say about Super Showdown going down on Saturday? Dude, there's so many pay-per-views coming up in between this and Survivor Series. There's like that. There's the Crown Jewels. There's WWE Evolution. There's like 3 pay-per-views coming up before Survivor Series. Like, holy man, are they throwing all of their freaking marbles in a jar here? Like, My goodness. And I heard the stock for WWE actually went down because Raw suffered their worst ratings in, I think, in the history of Monday Night Raw.
Do they not, think about this, honestly? Like, they're going to Fox. They're going to Fox where it's going to a station where they care about the ratings. Ratings are a big thing with Fox. They're not going to get away with having the lowest ratings ever on Fox with this shit. Mm-hmm. So they better pick it up soon.
They are. First order of action is that the WWE is going to send Alicia Fox from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown.
Yeah,
since it's going to be run by Fox.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Super Showdown because I don't know how the Undertaker and Triple H thing is going to go. I don't really care for it. They're too old now. They don't need to wrestle. They have nothing to prove anymore. And this is coming from an Undertaker Day One fan. Like, Undertaker was my first ever favorite wrestler, and he's still my favorite wrestler of all time. I don't need to see him in matches anymore. He's done. He has nothing else to prove. This may be an Undertaker thing where he still wants to give it his last go, and that's great. But I'm just like, nothing gets me excited to want to watch Super Showdown. I don't care. There's no matches on there there are matches on there that are going to progress storyline, but there's just too much going on. That's the big problem here. There's so much fucking. There's too many freaking events going on right now. They're losing focus with how they're booking shit. I thought the original problem was that they didn't want to have so many events every month, and now they literally went right back to square one. They're having way too many events.
People are already complaining that, basically the WWE Evolution pay-per-view is getting no build at all. And they're suffering because I feel bad for them because there are all these pay-per-views surrounding all
they're
around.
They're going to get outshadowed.
It's like, what can
5 days later is Crown Jewel. Seriously, 5 days later. Go look it up. 5 days later is Crown Jewel.
Are you telling me that the pay-per-view Crown Jewels that does not allow any women at the event is going 5 days after an all-women pay-per-view?
And they've promoted that more than Evolution. How fucking sad is that?
I didn't even realize that, but yeah. It's a
joke.
For me,
it plays into one of the reasons why I just don't watch the main roster. As much as SmackDown's been doing good, and I'll give credit where credit is due, good for them. I'm glad they're making the step here to make good television. It's what we want. It's just I don't feel like watching the main roster anymore. I just don't have any motivation to watch it. I just don't care anymore because they have the best roster on paper and they choose not to care. And if they don't care, I won't care. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And a lot of these matches at Super Showdown, they're repeat matches from previous pay-per-views. It's like, why would I want to watch this again? You know, and
just I don't care. They can have the same matches and have better. They could have better stories and better builds, but they don't do it. So I don't care.
It's you know what? I don't like this Undertaker versus Triple H thing, and I could care less about last time ever. And this may sound incredibly harsh. They're both Hall of Famers. Well, not Undertaker yet. That deserve, to be recognized. Just not at this pay-per-view. And here's the thing. Okay, so if they want to just have this match at the event, all right, that's fine. But the fact that they're taking time out of Monday Night Raw to promote Triple H and Undertaker, and they're literally appearing in segments, taking time away from the actual current talent, that I don't get. I mean, you didn't see when Undertaker took on Rusev, you didn't see them take time out of SmackDown or Monday Night Raw to promote and push Rusev and Undertaker. You know what I mean? You didn't see Triple H and John Cena, who faced each other at the Saudi Arabia tour. Mm-hmm. You didn't see them take time out of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to promote that. But all of a sudden, they're promoting this. They're taking time out of TV to promote Undertaker and Triple H. And they're throwing everything in there with Shawn Michaels and Kane and his rumors of Shawn Michaels coming back to face The Undertaker, which I don't care for because when you do that, it takes the cachet from their great WrestleMania matches. It's like I don't need to see these matches again. I really don't.
You said it best, Michael. I don't care. I don't care about Super. I don't care. Monday night. I don't care. I don't care anymore because nothing excites me anymore. Their agenda is to push one guy and one guy only. Fuck everybody else. This doesn't have to do with anything SmackDown. I'm talking about the main show with Raw. It's really a shame that they are pushing a 50-year-old versus a 50-year-old over new talent. You're never going to get superstars in that caliber while you're still pushing and reaching into the cookie jar every goddamn week. How are you supposed to build talent when you cannot focus on the new talent and progressing storylines and giving us better content on TV while your main focus is on one goddamn fucking guy who is never going to get the reaction you want, and two, your cookie jar motherfuckers that are coming out of retirement just for the sake of ratings. Give me a fucking break, man. Go eat your Saudi money, Vince McMahon. This literally, it all has to do with him funding the XFL. Don't tell me I'm wrong. He's doing all this bullshit right now to fund the XFL. It's literally the only thing he cares about right now. Clearly it's showing. He's only going over to Saudi Arabia because of the money, and he's using that money to fund his XFL in 2 years. Tell me I'm fucking wrong.
The horrible thing about this is, honestly, I mean, Cuba Girl said it good too. She said that Shawn Michaels should not have come out of retirement. Is what I don't get is these guys are coming out of retirement, or these people who we consider are Hall of Famers and should not be wrestling. They're coming out to face other Hall of Famers when, honestly, The Undertaker, who looks like he's struggling to put on a match, I would be interested in watching Super Showdown. And in fact, I'd probably tune in at 2 a.m., which is what time it's airing for me, if it was Undertaker versus AJ Styles, a match that we've been wanting, or if it was Shawn Michaels versus, I don't know, Daniel Bryan. Why are they bringing these people? It shouldn't even happen.
He's retired. He's retired. He's had the retirement match. You don't come back from having a retirement match. If it's labeled a retirement match, you don't come back. Did Ric Flair come back? No. No one's come back from a retirement match, and now Shawn Michaels has come back from a retirement match. It's a fucking joke. You guys shaved his fucking locks off. He's not the same fucking guy anymore. I just don't. You can't get into it. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's literally all because WWE only cares about the money and will sacrifice the product to make the money, and we know where he's funding that money and putting it into. It's the XFL. You tell me I'm wrong, then you clearly cannot see the light at what's actually happening in front of our eyes. I guarantee you all this money is going to fund the XFL. I guarantee you. You can't just start up a football league with barely any money and all your money focused into one company. You're going to need some more money to run both. And what better way to do it by saying, look, let me go to the richest part of the fucking world and put pay-per-views over there twice a year already, making them labeling as like the biggest thing ever, like greatest Royal Rumble and Crown Jewel. And we're going to give them Brock Lesnar and 50-man Royal Rumbles. And, people are going to pour money into that. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. And this is why I don't watch the main roster anymore, because it is a fucking joke.
And a lot of this stuff seriously doesn't make any sense. Remember how the Roman Reigns used to come out here and they used to say that this is the guy who retired The Undertaker? And now the Undertaker's wrestling so many matches now. Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels literally appeared on Monday Night Raw a couple of weeks ago and said, I did not come out of retirement out of respect for you, The Undertaker. And I'm like, well, rumor has it you're coming out of retirement, so you don't respect The Undertaker. You don't respect nothing. You respect the money. That's definitely for damn sure. But and Triple H, let me tell you something. How am I supposed to take this guy serious when he comes out here, he does a little cross chops, whatever, and he says, I'm going to put The Undertaker down, when he literally just lost to John Cena during the Saudi Arabia tour, and he's lost to The Undertaker 4 times at WrestleMania? How am I supposed to take this guy serious in saying he's going to freaking put down The Undertaker when he's lost so many freaking times? And he's the COO of NXT, and he randomly shows up on his wife's show when his wife comes out here as a heel. Then she comes out as a babyface and announces all these women's announcements. Then she switches back to being heel, which is a story from another day. But, yeah. Apologies in advance, guys. I don't like ranting about the main roster, but to sum up everything.
Will I watch it? Probably not.
Nope. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Good luck to Cappy. Cappy, if you're in the chat, good luck reviewing this pay-per-view. I already know it's going to be bad. They're really going to have to bring up – the Universal Championship is not even going to be defended. We get this stupid 6-man tag team match, which, by the way, guys, they are already promoting for TLC in my hometown 3 months from now. We're getting the same match again 3 months later, and they're promoting it 3 months in advance in my hometown in December for TLC. How desperate are they? No, I am not going to TLC, guys. Are you kidding me? Now that I know what the main event is, the Shield versus Braun Strowman and the freaking monsters of dog shit, no, I'm not buying tickets. Sorry, no can do. But I will go to NXT, which will be going to my hometown in a month, so I'm excited.
Anyways, so that's our last 2 cents of the show, and that is going to wrap it up for the Lowdown Show, the next cleverly spelled NXT, episode number 4, right here on No Holds Barred Network. Almost said our old podcast name there. It's tough. It's a quick transition, but the No Holds Barred Network, guys, your source for all WWE, NXT, and UK wrestling coverage. You can listen to us live every Wednesday night right here on Spreaker. Download the free app on all Android and Apple devices. We are also available to listen to on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. For all network updates, please follow us on Twitter at NHB Network. You can also follow the show at Lowdown Show NXT. You can follow myself at Real Kyle Masters, and you can follow my other co-host, Michael Chow TV, on Twitter as well. Guys, I'm your host, as always, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, and I'm always joined by my co-host. He is the host that runs the West Coast, Hollywood Michael Chow. Excuse me.
Guys, I know I usually have a joke to say when they announce me off, but I have nothing to say about the show now.
The last thing we have to say is to remind you to keep it on the Lowdown.